PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Thinking into Results is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
I guess you can be very successful without one, and probably some people do. But I would not have accomplished anywhere near what I have accomplished without a mentor. I have had a number of mentors, and my whole life has changed dramatically. I went from going nowhere to having a business that operates all over the world. If you want to win in a big way, you want to get a mentor. It's almost like getting a direct pipeline from their mind to your mind, where you're gaining all their wisdom, all their experience, and all the studying that they've done over a number of years. And like that, you get it all in a short period of time. Are mentors important? Well, I'm going to tell you, mentors literally changed the course of my life. Let's take a look at what Thinking into Results is and what it could do for you, how it came about. You see, my life had changed dramatically. I went from earning nothing to earning over $1 million a year. And I was sitting one day and I was thinking, how did all this happen? Do you know, I was reading Think and Grow Rich. I was studying Earl Nightingale's material. But a lot of people have read those books and studied Earl's material. And they weren't accomplishing what I was accomplishing. So I had to ask myself, what am I doing so different? You see, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I was earning over $1 million a year, and I didn't think I was that bright. I was also raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't win. Well, I hadn't gone to school. I went to high school for about 2 months. I didn't have a good job. I owned the entire company. If you want to be happy, healthy, and prosperous, it's all here. Thinking into Results is going to show you how to get it. If what I've said really triggered something in your mind and you're thinking maybe, contact the certified PGI consultant, hit the button, leave the information, do yourself a favor, sit down and talk to them about what this program can do for you. This very well could be the decision that will change the rest of your life.
Thank you, Bob. Just like to thank you to today's show. My name is John. I'm with Thinking into Results, and it is sponsored by S&J Mentoring, where we show you how to accomplish your dreams. Today is actually the last step we're talking about in the Think and Grow Rich method for being successful. And that's, it's called, we call this one develop your sixth sense. Give yourself permission to listen to the universe. How many times have you done something or not done something because you said, no, I can't do that. It's not right. I don't want to do that. Even though, if you did it, it would probably be right because it fits into all of the stuff that you've been doing and it makes sense, but you kind of say no to it. That's kind of how the sixth sense works. It's like, well, I want to make a distinct difference. Last week I talked about your gut feeling. So gut feeling is something that happens on the spot. It's like, oh, I don't want to do that. So it's different from your sixth sense. Your sixth sense is kind of a learned response. And that's kind of how it's described in Think and Grow Rich, he talks about how you have to teach yourself this. But I'm going to simplify it a little bit. You do a job. When you start doing that job, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that are going on, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. I got to make sure that this belt is tight, and that fan blows in this direction, and that the fuel goes in the ground and not in the water. So there's a lot to learn, but once you learn that, you can start anticipating what's going to happen because you've learned it, you understand it. That's what a sixth sense is. It's accumulation of everything we've talked about, all of these 12 other points that we talked about that allows you to be able to make correct judgment calls. I'm just trying to put my words correctly here, because I'm going to go over the 12 steps that we've gone through prior to this so that you kind of understand what I'm getting at. And I'm going to put them in the terminology that was used originally in Think and Grow Rich. So give me just 1 second. I apologize for not being prepared for this. I just thought about it. I had one of Sid's epiphanies. Here we go. So the first is your burning desire. You really have to want. So you have to want it, and you have to know why. 2, absolute faith. You have to have faith that it's going to happen. Number 3 is self-talk. Self-talk is repeating this over and over again and telling yourself you can do it. Because I don't know how many times we grew up saying, well, if you think you can, you can. At least my generation. If you think you can't, you can't. I used to tell my kids that all the time. I got tired of hearing it. But it's true. If you think you can do something and you believe that, you have the faith in belief that this is going to happen, it will happen. It won't necessarily be right at this moment, but it'll happen. Then specialize is number 4. Number 5 is develop your imagination. Number 6 is develop a plan based on what you want to do. Number 7 is take massive action. These are his words. In other words, whether you think you're ready for it or not, start moving forward. Make the plan and just move forward. You'll learn along the way. 8, be persistent. Don't give up. Don't stop. Understand that the goal never, ever changes. The plan does. And that is what persistence is. Persistence is pursuing that one goal that you have a burning desire for. Do you see where this is going? We talked about the mastermind, because you can't think of everything. You just can't. But if you have other people around that think like you do, they're open to suggestions, or open to listen to other people, or open to just allow thoughts to come into their mind, and have specialized knowledges in areas you don't, you're going to be surprised at some of the answers you get, and some of the things that will work for your business or work towards your goal that you never thought would. And then we talked about transmuting sexual desire. If you remember, we talked about Napoleon and Ozzy Osbourne, because it's not what you think it is. It's taking that energy and focusing that energy. Then 11 is reprogram your belief. Last week was listen to your gut, and today is the sixth sense. And what happens is the sixth sense is all of that accumulated knowledge, all of that accumulated, everything you've done to this point is now ingrained and it's burnt into your subconscious. And we've talked about that because your subconscious is where your habits are. So you have now you're developing a sixth sense because you said, okay, I want to build ABC widgets, and it's going to take this, this, and this. You've developed a mastermind. You've got faith that you can do it because you've learned all the knowledge for it. Now it's just taking time to continue that knowledge, continue that learning, and give yourself permission to listen to other suggestions. Be open to it. You never know where they're going to come from. How many times have you said, I'm going to sleep on it? We talked about that last week. And then you wake up and it's like, oh my God. And that happens all the time. And so this is how a sixth sense is built. It's like the job I do besides this. When I first started, it's bank fraud essentially. Just to simplify it a little bit. And it's really confusing because you have the clients, you have the customers of the clients, you have the other bank organizations that you're dealing with that have to be dealt with in a fashion that is different from the way you deal with your client. And when you first start, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to remember this, I got to remember this, I got to remember this. But I've been doing it for so long now, I'm like, so, because there's different jobs within that job frame. And one specific job is doing that. But that also requires sending in a dispute with whatever card company it may be. And a sixth sense that you learn is that just because somebody puts on this screen an explanation for why they're disputing this specific charge they have isn't, that explanation isn't going to cut it with the card company. So you have to go there, read through the lines and read everything that's there, read what the bank has told you, and go, oh, this is what they really meant. Put it the way they really meant it so that we can recover whatever funds have been stolen from these people. And I mention that because holiday season's coming up and I know we're going to get really busy. But with the sixth sense that you learn, things become easier. You can start predicting, oh, this is good. If I do this, this is going to happen. And 99.9% of the time it will, because you've got a sense for what's going on. And that's what a sixth sense is, essentially. And I do, I've talked about Ozzy quite a bit. I'm going to bring Ozzy up again. But I'm actually going to talk about Black Sabbath. When they were, was it Paranoid? Yeah, the song Paranoid. From the album Paranoid. That song took them 20 minutes to write. It ended up being one of their biggest hits. And it was all from, part of it was having a gut intuition, having a gut feeling that, hey, if I write this song, it's going to work. But the other part of it was intuition. So Tommy lays down a riff. Ozzy goes, hey, what if I sang these words to that riff? And then Tommy's like, okay, great, we can do that. then, you got, oh, let's do the bass part here. Let's do the drums like this and get this sound. And that's an intuition because now what sounds good with that sound. And that is really what intuition is knowing the people you work with, knowing everything inside and out. And when you have a problem, being open to listening to solutions or for solutions. That's where a mastermind would come in. That's where, maybe your mastermind is your wife. Like in my case, it's my wife. A lot of times I'll put stuff by her and she'll go, well, what if you did this? And I'm like, oh my God, I hadn't even thought of that. But my intuition says, my beautiful wife's been right an awful lot about this type of category, whatever it may be. I'm going to talk to her and pick her brain. Well, that's an intuition move on your part. Sometimes just being quiet and sitting down and listening. I like to sit outside. I like to, go fish. I like to sit back and smoke a nice cigar, have a nice drink, and think about absolutely nothing. And yes, ladies, when your husband says, or let me rephrase that, when your husband answers this question with nothing, he means it. What are you thinking about? Nothing. Don't get upset. Understand he's really not thinking about anything because he's got an internal lever that he's pulled and shut everything down because he either needs a break or he has a problem that he's trying to solve. A lot of times we need quiet, we need a little bit of a break, we need to do something different from what we normally do to be able to accomplish and get that answer. My gosh, I apologize, folks. I have a lot going on. We're getting ready to move to Orlando, so we're in the middle of buying a house. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on there, and so hopefully in a couple of weeks you'll be seeing a new studio. Actually, not hopefully. Let me rephrase that. You will be seeing a new studio. And then next week, by the way, we're going to do a flashback episode because I've got a doctor's appointment and we haven't talked much about what we're going to do next. But I'm having some issues with my hand, so I got to go see a surgeon. So, and the only day they had open was Wednesday. So I'm going to go talk to them. So we'll play a flashback episode next week. And I appreciate your patience there. But learning how to accomplish your goals requires everything we've talked about in this process. You have a burning desire. But if you want to really start knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're after, understanding what you're after, whatever your goal may be. And I know the book says Think and Grow Rich. But these principles can be applied to any goal you seek. It doesn't have to be money, although money is nice to have. I have to admit, I like to have my toys. We were just talking about some of my collectibles earlier, like my pretty little sword. Yes, it looks plain, but that's probably the most valuable one in my collection. I don't have my whole collection out, but I do have this really cool Conan sword. from the movie, although that one isn't as nice as the other one. But this is how we learn that if this happens, this happens. Cause and effect. Cause and effect is probably what a lot of people would refer to as a sixth sense. Now, if I do this, this is going to happen. Because this happened, or if this happens, that happens. Or this is the probability factors. A lot of mathematicians, when they, well, you know, if you do this long math problem, and you can solve it, you may be, 90% correct on on the trajectory to Mars or whatever. I don't know that. I'm just throwing that out there. But it's amazing what you can start predicting once you start learning what your goal is, learning about your goal and making it important and getting all that specialized knowledge inside. You start thinking of things that you haven't read about. You start thinking, well, what if I did this? I'm going to get a little different effect, but it's going to be like this. Then you find out you're right. So that's kind of how a sixth sense works, kind of like a scientific procedure almost. But it's a form of subconscious thinking because you've trained your mind with all of these other processes to think all the time about this goal, your job, how to drive your automobile. Race car drivers, how do they get so good? I mean, Daytona really isn't that far from me. And these guys drive over 200 miles an hour around the track. I know it kind of be boring, but it's not. But how do they learn that? They have a sixth sense and intuition, a certain knowledge about what they're doing, and they can go, well, I have these tires on. I'm going this speed. If I take this corner at this speed and I brake at this speed, I'm only going to lose 10 miles an hour instead of 20, and I can still make the corner safely. This is how a sixth sense works. It's not about seeing dead people, even though there was a movie about that. It could be. A lot of times it's about how am I going to solve this issue? And that's where the sixth sense come in because you have the specialized knowledge. You know which books, well, maybe the answer's in this book, maybe the answer's in that book. I don't know if you see the books behind me, but those are Dungeons and Dragons books that are probably older than, well, let's just say they're old. Anyhow, but there was a time I could tell you where everything was by page number on those books from memory. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that if we do this, this should happen. I can verify it here. So I'd go to the book, I'd look it up, I'd read it, and I go, oh yeah, I was right. So in the end, when you start pursuing that goal, it gets easier and easier and easier because you are now understanding that goal. You're understanding the particulars about what could happen or could not happen, cause and effect of certain actions. And most importantly, your steps are getting bigger. They may start out as baby steps, but they're getting bigger, they're getting closer, and you can see that goal. And once you hit that goal, you know that this sixth sense is working. If you just look at anybody and just pick a person that you admire that's been super successful and learn about and apply what they do to your goal, whether your goal is money, whether your goal is a family, whether your goal is a specific type of home, a specific type of automobile, maybe you want to travel the world, which requires money, of course. But it doesn't have to be about money to attract money. It can be about a specific thing, and you're going to have to attract money to do that. So it's going to happen. And you start realizing that you can take that process. Again, this is part of the sixth sense. You can take this process and apply it to anything you want, and you can get it without ever stepping on the rights of anybody else, and have a wonderful life and always get what you want simply by applying these rules to every true goal you set. The goal needs to be challenging, and it needs to do something with changing who you are. And that's the best part of thinking into results. The best part of thinking grow rich is changing yourself, making yourself a better person, and learning how to not only achieve what you want, but teach others how to do it. I really appreciate everyone that listens, everyone that watches. Sid and I absolutely adore everybody. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I hope that you obtain your goals. If you wish to learn more about what we do and help us obtain your goals, contact us at the website. It's sj-mentoring.com, sj-mentoring.com. And what we need you to do is fill out the contact request form. This allows you to receive your free discovery session, which is a $250 value, by the way. And this is where we learn about your unique situation so we can help you accomplish your dreams. That's what we do. We can't show you what to do if we don't know what you want. Like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate that. That helps. And next week, like I said, we are going to have a flashback episode. That's to be determined. I'm not sure exactly what it is yet. But we will be back in 2 more weeks, live, and having a wonderful show with everybody. And we look forward to spending time with you in 2 weeks. And thank you. Remember, visit us at sjmentoring.com, sj-mentoring.com, so we can show you how to accomplish your dreams. Thank you. Have a great day.
Did you know your clothing could help balance your body's pH levels? Our cutting-edge fabric technology naturally promotes optimal pH balance, helping you feel energized, refreshed, and at your best every day. Use promo code PRTalk for more info. Tap the link in the description or contact our experts at 702-445-9488 to learn more.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.